Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to take a look and listen to the RSE Audio TS508, which is a stereo saturation unit that fits in a 500 series rack. It's a double wide module. We're going to listen to it today on some drums. We're going to do a couple of different videos around this because can get a little deep. So I have the RSE TS508. Thank you so much, Roman over at RSE Audio, for sending this to me. Now, if you've been watching the channel for a while, and you can check the link in the description box, we, about 6 months ago, me and my good buddy David SJ, we took a look at their stereo VaryMu unit, which I still have. You might be able to see it. It's right up there in the rack somewhere. I use it all the time. It's a wonderful unit, great piece. After we tested that unit, Roman over at RSE said, hey, would you like to check out some of our 500 series modules? So we have the stereo saturator, the TS508 that we're going to look at today. And we also have a single unit or single slot tube/opto compressor that we're going to check out in a future video. But today I wanted to check out the saturator because that sounds really, really interesting. So they sent it to me and we got it here in the rack, and it's probably on the screen as we speak. So as I said today, thank you so much for sending it to me, Roman. This is a sponsored video. They're not paying me for the video, but I get to keep the unit. I might use it as a giveaway at one point as part of one of our mixing contests. But anyway, what I want to do today is I want to get out the manual, I want to walk you through the unit, tell you what it kind of does. And right now we're going to listen to it pretty much on just drums. I like to test these kinds of units out on drums because they're heavy transient material. And this is where you can normally hear the effect of this thing really, really well. In a future video, the next video, we're going to do it on a full mix on a stereo bus. But right now it's just patched in on our drum bus via the Flock Audio XT. This session is not even really mixed. The drums are lightly EQ'd. There's no other compression or anything going on outside of what's on the drum bus here, the TS508 here. So let's go over here. Let me walk you through the controls here, and then let's just do a quick sound example so you can hear it. I will tell you, it is really cool. When used in a very subtle way, to add a little bit of crunch and a little bit of character to your mix. And if you put this on a stereo bus, it would be really killer. But even on your drums, just to give it that extra excitement, this thing is really cool. So I highly recommend if you get one of these units, and I'll link it in the description box below, you want to print out the manual and read it so you can wrap your head around what the controls do. It looks kind of simple. It is kind of simple, but it takes a minute to kind of wrap your head around it, especially when we get to the EQ. So let's head on over to the TS508 and let's just walk through the controls, and then we'll listen to it. Okay, and then you can let me know what you think in the comments below. So let's head on over here. So, got it here on camera. I'm going to try to do this in a way where I'm not bumping the camera too much. And I'm going to read some of the stuff right from the manual. So the first thing I'm going to tell you, because someone's going to ask, hey, look at all these nice little colored knobs that are on here. These are not like that, obviously. I put these on here so you can read what these knobs do because it's very difficult to see the printing under the knob. And as a matter of fact, I kind of like it that if I keep this unit for myself, I'm actually going to leave the knobs on, leave the stickers on here. These are just colored stickers I bought from Amazon to tell you what the controls do. But if we start over here at the, let's just start over here with the toggle switches. So we have 4 toggle switches across the front. Now, what makes this unit a little unique and pretty cool is we have an EQ across the bottom, which we're going to talk about in a second, but we have a pre-EQ and a post-EQ toggle switch here on the very ends. So in the up position, it's off, and the down position, it is on. And what the pre-EQ does, when you have this engaged, this sends our 3-band EQ across the bottom here into the tube saturation. So this is pre the tube. So you can EQ the signal before you hit the tubes, okay? Conversely, the post EQ, when this is engaged, what that'll do is whatever you have boosted into the prior to the tubes, pre-tube, whatever frequency you have boosted into the tubes, at the same time, it will then on the output side turn down the level. So let's say you're boosting 200 hertz into the tube. So you're going to turn up the frequencies. It's going to get louder, right? This is going to turn it down on the post side so you can kind of level match it, if that makes sense. That's the part that's a little confusing. But that's what these 2 toggle switches do here on the ends. In the center here, we have an input and output, so we can monitor the input and the output on the VU meter. We have a bypass switch right here, and the off position means it's bypassed, and then this is enabled. And again, you can see I put a little label here so we could see on and off. Okay, hopefully you can see that okay. Now, this is where we get to the cool stuff. So we have our input knob here, input level, okay? We have our wet dry knob here, right? So you could do like a parallel compression thing. You could do all the way wet or all the way dry or anything between. And then we have our output level to level match. Then down here in green, we have the different circuits. We have triode and we have pentode. So we have the triode saturation circuit here, and then we have pentode on the far side here. Okay, when you go from, according to the manual, when you go from all the way down, let's say, it doesn't mean you have less saturation. The sweet spot or the midpoint is where it kind of starts at 12 noon, okay? Then we have a blend in the center between the triode and the pentode. So you can have all triode saturation, all pentode, or anything in between, okay? So that's right here. Down here we have our 3-band EQ. We have a low shelf here at 200 hertz. We have a peaking here centered at the 1K. So the center frequency is 1K. And then we have a high shelf here at 2K, which is pretty cool, okay? Which we're going to demonstrate. And that's really it. So let me just get to the second page here to make sure I didn't say anything out of turn here. No, that's correct. Hello friend, I hope you're having a blast watching this video. Hey, I wanted to give you a heads up about my new website for my mixing services called mixingmusicanalog.com. I have a limited amount of spots each month to take on new clients, and I'm super excited to chat with you about your next project. And if you're a first-time client, you'll get a 25% discount. So be sure to click the link in the description, check out the website, and let's set up a Zoom call together to talk about your music. Now back to the video. Okay, so what I want to do, without getting too much more into the manual, so I just want to demonstrate what this does. So what the manual suggests we do is we put everything at high noon, okay, everything at 12 noon, and we could turn the wet dry knob up 100%. So we get the input, the output, everything the same, and just bypass this thing so you could hear what the difference is with or without it. So we have a drum loop here that's kind of queued up here. So I'm going to let you listen to some drums. And again, they're just lightly EQ'd. There's no other compressions, no other processing. And let's just hear what this TS508 does with everything at high noon. And if I engage it, what does it do? What does it sound like? I don't know. Let's see. So already I could hear, you may not hear this over YouTube, I don't know, so let me describe what I'm hearing. When it's in the off position, obviously, it's a little less compressed. As soon as I engage, you hear a little bit of compression. It actually drops just a hair in volume because we have some compression happening in the tube circuits. Again, whoops, sorry, I didn't mean to bump the camera there. Because we have everything at 50% here. We're wet dries at 100%. We have our mix between the triode and the pentode at 50%. We're not using the EQ at all, but you could just hear a little bit of that compression. Okay, listen again. I'll demonstrate that. We'll start with it off and then I'll turn it on. You'll hear, and I'll try to level match it a little bit, but you'll hear, listen to the snare in particular. That's where you hear it the most. You can hear that it kind of compresses that very initial transient on that snare. Sounds pretty good, and I would just probably bump up the output just a hair, just to kind of level match it a little. It turns down the volume just a tiny bit. Now that's pretty cool. Now what we can do is we can start with, let's go all the way over to the triode. And we'll just play with this and see. I'll tell you right now, again, over YouTube, it's going to be hard to hear. Just making these adjustments, because I've done this off camera, is pretty darn subtle. But let me do it anyway for you so you could hear. So we're on the triode, 100% wet. Let's just play with this control and see what it does. So what I hear with the Triode is as we turn it down, we lose a little bit of the low end. In the manual, it describes Triode as more of a warm and a little bit more warm and fat on the low end, whereas the pentode is more aggressive and more bitey, I guess, for lack of a better word. In the manual, that's kind of how they describe it. So as I turn down the Triode, we get a little less low end and fatness. As I crank it up, it gets to be a little bit more than that. In the middle is kind of the sweet spot, but I'll demonstrate that again. Now let's go over to the pentode side, just so you can hear the difference there. Here we go. So what I hear instantly, as soon as I go all the way pentode, it gets kind of crunchy. You could hear that right away. You could definitely hear what's happening there. It's a little bit more distorted, a little bit more crunchy. Again, this is at 100% wet. If we dial that back just a little bit here, okay, let's bypass it, turn it on and off again. We'll start with it off. So it's pretty subtle, but it adds some nice character to the snare in particular, I like. Okay, now where it gets a little more interesting is when we engage this pre-EQ, pre-tube, and we start playing with the EQ, okay? What I really like is adding a little bit of bottom at 200, this little shelf, and a little bit of top at 2K. Let's see what that does. Okay, we'll start with it off, and then I'm just gonna kick it on, and you're gonna hear what this does. Here we go. That to me sounds killer. This EQ is really what makes the difference. Really what makes the difference. It sounds very similar to my Gain Lab audio Empressor EQ, which is a tube EQ with that tube circuit that you can pop in and out while keeping the EQ in. Kind of similar, but this gives you a little more flexibility, the RSE. But it has that same kind of nice tube crunch, which is really nice. This is a little bit more flexible in the saturation section compared to the Empressor EQ, but the Empressor EQ is more of like a Pultec style EQ. This is more of just a simple EQ, more of a saturator. But that's really cool to be able to get a little bit of top end. I mean, on the drum bus, this is where I would really like this, like right after a compressor, a drum bus compressor, which this doesn't have on it, hitting this little EQ makes a big difference. I love that. In the room, that sounds fantastic. I love that. Now, the last switch on here is this post EQ, which I guess apparently, again, according to the manual, and again, I really still wrap my head around this. When we engage this, what this is going to do is whatever frequencies we boost, whatever volume we gain from boosting the frequencies here on the pre side, it's going to turn down that volume. But what it really does is it really makes things sound darker. It almost seems like it cuts out everything that we've done here. Let me show you. Let me start where we had it. I'll just flip this in and you can hear what it does. Pretty unique, right? Now, I guess because it's an inverted EQ, when we put this in the down position and then we turn these frequencies counterclockwise, it tends to brighten itself up. This is the part that kind of confuses me a little bit. I know Roman's going to be watching this going, you idiot. The manual is pretty descriptive, but you got to kind of play with this a little bit. But it just sounds so cool. Let me show you. So I'm going to engage this and I'm going to turn this 2K because that's where you can hear it the most. I'm going to start to turn it counterclockwise and listen to what it does. Tends to sound a little bit darker. So again, the way I understand it is when both these switches are engaged, what it's doing is whatever volume you're getting from if you're boosting the frequencies, this is turning down that level of the same frequency point. So you're level matching. Suppose that makes sense. So let's start with this off. We'll get a little bit more brightness. So personally, I don't like this switch engaged. I kind of like it hitting it with pre-EQ, hitting the tubes, pre-tubes, boosting a little top and bottom. And that just sounds great. Now, if I put this in a mix, again, the mix, an instrumentation mix, drums, bass, guitar, some keyboards, no vocals. Again, this is just all lightly EQ'd and balanced on the console. There is no compression, no other processing. But let me just show you what the drums sound like in this context, taking this thing in and out. Here we go. So here's a little bit of instrumentation around this, and I'll just bypass this. You can kind of hear it in context with other instruments. Really brings out the low end really nice with this 200 hertz shelf. Really nice. This is a really cool, flexible, get a lot of different tonal possibilities out of this thing. I think it is a really cool unit. One that I want to spend some more time with and maybe put it on a full mix. So that's our look at the RSE Audio TS508 stereo saturator. Again, links in the description box below if you want to go buy one for yourself. I don't get it, it's not an affiliate link, I don't get anything for it. But if you're looking for a stereo saturator in a 500 series module that's flexible, that sounds really good, a little bit goes a long way, that has some flexibility, that can work on a drum bus, as you can see, but this is really, I think, more geared for a master bus, put a full mix through it, which we're going to do in the next video. I want to play with this a little bit more, finish up the mix we're doing here, and then repatch it in with the flock through the master bus. I think this is a great solution. Great little solution. It's affordable. It's not terribly expensive. I think it runs a little bit under $1,000 US, which is great. And it's just, 500 series module. So let me know what you think in the comments below. RSE audio is really, really cool. I really dig their stereo Varimu. This is another winner. And then in the future video, we're going to take a look at their single slot. It's a tube and an optical compressor at the flick of a switch, two kind of styles of compression all in one unit to give you a little bit more flexibility. This is a very small company out in the Ukraine, all hand built, boutique shop here, really high quality stuff. And Roman's a really nice guy, so check out their website and tell them I sent you. And until the next video where we check out some more cool gear by RSE Audio, I've been Dave with Mixing Music Analog and mixingmusicanalog.com. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. And I'll see you guys in the next video.